Match day is upon us, fans are pouring into the stadium. Anticipation has reached an all-time high. All the action here on EA TV.
A warm welcome to you from the Emirates Stadium. I'm Guy Mowbray and I'm joined by the former England striker Sue Smith for commentary. And we've got live Premier League action for you today. It's Arsenal and they play Crystal Palace.
Hello, welcome back to Armchair Armory. Little bit of an unprecedented preview today. I don't actually remember whether I did mention I was going to do a preview for this game or not. But in the last 24 hours, things have gotten a bit crazy. This has now all of a sudden become one of the biggest games of the season, which, you know, most fans of English football, apart from especially in the sort of so-called top 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams in the Premier League, don't normally take the Carabao Cup seriously, and yeah, that's all about to change. And the reason for this is because there was a very well. I mean, I didn't watch the game because it was the 3 o'clock kickoff. I only heard like the first half on the radio here in the UK, and yeah, it finished at the Emirates Stadium. Pretty much must-win game. Arsenal 0, Everton 0. I did watch the sort of 3-minute highlights from Sky Sports. I mean, it's hard to say because in 3 minutes it doesn't really give the whole context of the match in general. The general consensus from, you know, people online and people on YouTube and stuff like that is that it was a poor performance, no creativity, no attacking threat. It just felt like Everton had gone there for a point and we'd sort of we'd made it easy for them to get the point they were after, which has obviously now has now raised a lot of questions around the way we're playing, the manager, etc., etc., the trajectory in which the club is going right now. Now, I'm in two minds. I'm not going to say anything too much about Arteta. I've sort of said what I have to say quite a few times. I'm still a little bit frustrated that I know we've drawn 2 games in a row now, and what's worse is that Liverpool also drew again yesterday. And if we'd, in hindsight, if we'd beaten Fulham and we'd won the game yesterday, we would be within 1 point of them. Chelsea play today, I believe. I'm recording this on the Sunday, the morning after the night before, so to speak. I think Chelsea are at home to Brentford, I want to say. I think that's right. Yeah. Chelsea at home to Brentford. Well, that's interesting. Crystal Palace have beaten Brighton, who are the team I'm actually going to talk about now during this. I think this time the outrage is a little bit more justified. I think criticize the performance, but leave the bigger picture for the end of the season. I'm not going to say anything about, unless it gets really bad, I'm not going to say anything about Arteta until the end of the season. And I've already sort of like preambled that, and I've already said in previews and reactions before, I've said if we finish lower than we did last season, i.e. 3rd or 4th or lower than that, God forbid, and we don't win a trophy this season, then I will be like, okay, we need to start thinking about whether Arteta is the right guy. At the moment, for me, he's still got a little bit of credit in the bank because of the fact that he's taken us from nothing to at least challenging to something that we never thought we'd be doing in the space of the time that he's been the manager. When he first came in, it was more of the same post Wenger and Emery, and won an FA Cup, which nobody expected, and then the sort of performance improvement year on year has, for me, given him a little bit more credit in the bank. I'm not screaming or calling for his head right now, And to be honest, like, as I said, I didn't see the Everton game, so I can't sit here and say, oh yeah, I can't sit here with conviction and make and give my opinion, because I don't know. I didn't watch the full game. I've only seen highlights, and obviously the highlights they show are Arsenal creating chances. It sounds like, from what I've gathered, is that we were wasteful, and I think that was something that was very similar to Fulham, except it was probably worse this time from what I heard. Like, you know, the commentators on BBC on TalkSport here were saying, you know, that's a gilt-edged chance. Ødegaard should be burying that, this, that, and the other. I was listening earlier on. I was listening to Harry Symeou from Chronicles of Guna giving his analysis on what's going on at the moment, and he made a very good point that at the moment it seems like Arteta has coached the team to be more focused on controlling the game than actually winning the game. Which obviously, if that continues, I think his days are numbered. Put it that way. And I'm not really going to sit here and overreact, because there's still a lot of the season to go. But the one thing I will say now is that the title chase is over. We're not winning the league this season. That's one thing I will say. We're not winning the league this season, which is a good segue leading into why I believe that right now, when am I recording this? The 15th of December, 2024, that the game on Wednesday, the Carabao Cup quarter-final against Crystal Palace at the Emirates, is now one of the biggest games of the season, because we're not going to win the league. I think we're too far behind now. Yes, it's only 6 points. A lot can happen in that time, but going by previous seasons, I've only ever seen one team do that, and that's Man City. I mean, I know we did it in '98. I think Man United were either 6 or 9 points ahead, and we managed to go on a mad run in the second half of the season and go on and win the league. And it's a very rare occurrence. But the only team I've seen do it consistently that haven't had a lead in the last 2 seasons, and a couple of seasons ago when Liverpool were under Klopp were in front, City are the only team I've ever seen do this on a consistent basis. And I just don't think we have the squad to do something like that. You know, it's clear that we need a striker. I mean, I think I was saying that in the summer as well. I wasn't too despondent with the business that we did. I think Calafiori was a good sign-in, despite the fact that he's very injury prone, which is a little bit annoying. Merino, I mean, the 10 or so games, or the 6 or 7 games he's played, I don't think it's as many as 10, but the games he's played so far, he's been a bit hit and miss. I wouldn't say that I'm writing him off and saying it was a waste of money and we shouldn't have signed him, but yeah, he's been very hit and miss. Raheem Sterling, I don't know what's going on there. Like, every single time, and this is something I've heard that Arteta was criticised for a lot yesterday, was the substitutions. Sterling didn't even get a sniff yesterday. Every game that I've watched this season, the only games Sterling's played in are the Carabao Cup games. He probably will start on Wednesday. Yeah, it's clear that we need to do something attacking wise, because yeah, if we continue this way, it's going to be a very, very dire season. And this is why I'm saying, to repeat myself, this is why I'm saying that this game on Wednesday is now one of the biggest games of the season so far. You know, Crystal Palace, for them, this will be their season. Like, potentially winning a League Cup will be their season. No disrespect to Crystal Palace, I like them as a club, but I know that this is sort of what their ceiling is at the moment. That winning a domestic trophy is the most they could probably do, unless obviously they go on a run in the league and end up in Europe or something. But this will be a big game for them as well. But I think if we were to lose this game and go out, if people think that the toxicity amongst the Arsenal fan base, which I can't stand, I cannot stand the flip-flop. I mean, people are allowed to change their opinion. That's fine. Whether it be football, whether it be politics, whether it be film, whether it be games, TV, whatever. You can watch a film and not like it the first time, and then you watch it many years later and you're like, oh yeah, this is actually good. or I appreciate more of what I originally saw. So, for example, I'll use myself as an example. I'm a huge David Lynch fan, as you've probably seen if you've watched Favorite Things on this channel. And my friend showed me one of his first like full-length feature film, which is called Eraserhead, and it's really weird. So for those of you that don't like or can't deal with like weird psychological dark shit, don't watch it. But when I first watched it, I hated it because I was like, I don't understand this film. I really don't understand this film. I think fast forward 5 or 6 years later, I sat down and watched it again, and I was like, I can actually everything makes sense to me now, and this is actually a masterpiece of a film. So it's yeah. People are entitled to their own opinion, and they're entitled to change their opinion, but I'm sort of fed up with like every single time the same old faces. There's two things that annoy me. It's the same old faces that I think don't like Arteta from the start. They don't like the manager from the start, from the moment that he came in. To be fair to people like, I don't know, I'm not throwing shade or anything like that here, but people like Lee Gunner, he's been Arteta out from the beginning, so at least he's remained consistent. But there are people that appear on platforms like AFTV and stuff like that have openly said this guy's not good enough from the moment he stepped foot into the club, into the Emirates, into Colney. It's like, yeah, this guy's not good enough. Why didn't we go and get Ancelotti? Blah 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 blah. Then things changed, and we started playing better. And they're like, oh, I can't really say that anymore because all the fans are going to be against me, and I'm going to get a pile-on. Blah blah, which is not good either. Getting a pile-on for people sharing their opinion isn't necessarily a good thing either. But at the same time, the cracks slip when we draw or when we lose. You'll then start seeing them say Arteta's not good enough. We could be doing better. Like, he's a failure. Blah 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 blah. And it's one of those things that really annoys me. And then the other thing that annoys me on that side of things is those people like Lee Gunner that cannot wait at the detriment of Arsenal Football Club, they cannot wait for Arteta to fuck up so they can turn around and say, see, I told you so. I told you, you fucking morons, you midwits that were all supporting Arteta. Look at what happened now. Look, we're in a worse position than we were 6 years ago when he came in, and all this sort of stuff. We're not, that's just factually incorrect. It also annoys me people that won't criticize him at all. That will just say, well, we've just got to support the team regardless of whether it's bad or good. Like, from what I gather, he got it wrong yesterday, and he panicked and he made really stupid substitutions, and he partially cost us the game. I wouldn't say he would take all of the blame, but definitely a large proportion of the blame probably sits with Arteta. And this game is massive. This game against Crystal Palace is huge. I can't believe I'm saying that, really, but it's huge. I'm worried as well, as a slightly superstitious person. I'm worried as well that we're playing them so close together. So we've got them on Wednesday in the Carabao Cup, and then on Saturday in the league. And I'm worried that like we're going to lose at least one of those games, and it's more likely to be the Carabao Cup game, because it seems like the past couple of seasons when we've got to this stage of the Carabao Cup, we've just thrown it away. And we can't afford to do that this season. My point was going to be, I know I've gone around the houses, but my point was going to be that essentially, if people think it's bad now, fans moaning and stuff like that, it's going to be 10 times worse if we lose to Crystal Palace on Wednesday, because people will say not only has his pragmatism and his predictability to some degree potentially cost us the league title, we're now out of another trophy. And if you look at previous seasons, since the FA Cup win, we've gone out in the quarterfinals, I believe, of the Europa League, the round of 16 of the Europa League. We went out in the season that he won the FA Cup, I believe. I think. Then we've gone out in the the semi-final. I think we went out of the of the Europa League when we lost to Emery. Granted, there's been a couple of Carabao Cup and FA Cup campaigns where we've gone out to Liverpool and City, and that's sort of like fair enough. But we also went out to Brighton one year, and we also went out to West Ham last year in the same position. No, I think at Brighton it was the fourth round or the round of 16, and then last season it was the quarterfinal. We went out. So yeah, like it's not gone well cup wise for Arteta, and I think he needs to galvanize the team and get them into a place where they're like, let's prove the haters wrong. Because yeah, things are going to get so much worse in terms of the bad energy, and the calls for him to be sacked are going to get louder and louder should we not get the right result against Palace on Wednesday. I don't know, man. It's been an interest in a way. It's an interesting season, because I think when we started, well, I did anyway. I don't know about anyone else, but when I started, when the season started, I go into every. To be fair, I go into every season with Arsenal thinking we don't have the right to win anything. Let's just see what happens, because football is unpredictable, or should be unpredictable. But at the same time, I was like, I just don't see how anyone can topple City. And look at them; they're in dire straits at the moment. I think they're playing today. Oh yeah, of course, there's a Manchester derby at 4:30. Yeah, they're not doing too well. I wouldn't be surprised if United win that game, to be fair. Stefan, who's been on this channel, is actually at the Etihad. Is going to the Etihad to watch the game today. But yeah, so I don't really. Yeah, I went into the start of the season thinking, yeah, I don't know how we can beat City. I don't know how we can overthrow City. I just thought City were too strong. And look now, Liverpool are 6 points clear at the top of the table, or 4 points. 4 points clear, 4 or 5 points clear at the top of the table from Chelsea. And look at Chelsea. Chelsea's another one. I didn't expect them to be anywhere near the top 4 this season, and look at how well they're doing. So that's been good. From a neutral point of view, that's been a really good thing about this season's Premier League. As an Arsenal fan, it's been very indifferent. And I'm going to quote someone again. I'm going to do the thing that you used to do at university and quote someone's words. James McNicholas, Gunner Blog from The Athletic, made of such a profound point that the luck of the draw is not going our way this season. Those moments are not that we got last season and potentially the season before, particularly last season, are not going our way at the moment. You know, we've had injuries, we've had stupid red cards, we've had red cards, stupid or otherwise. We've had red cards. You know, games where we've dominated possession, so to speak. I know people don't like hearing that, but when we've dominated possession, the chances just haven't been completed. I mean, I know that there's at least one Arsenal fan that I work with that's probably going to say to me on Monday, oh yeah, 9 times out of 10 we win that game. But mate, we didn't win the game, unfortunately. I don't know, it just doesn't feel like we're anywhere near as good as we were last season. And you know, as I keep saying, if we get to the end of the season and we finish 4th or 3rd, because I think 3rd or 4th or below that, I'll be looking over my shoulder. If we finish 3rd or 4th and we don't win a trophy this season, that's when I'm going to start turning to the so-called Arteta out brigade. I mean, not quite as bad as that where I'm abusing the guy or whatever, but that's where I'm going to start thinking, is he the right guy to take us forward? He's still got time to turn it around, and he could turn it around on Wednesday. 20 minutes, nearly 20 minutes I've been talking, probably one of the longest videos I've done. I'm not going to predict a score. I feel like I'm probably not going to do that for the rest of the season now, because it's been so indifferent this season. It's been so inconsistent. And I think that's been a theme of a lot of teams this season, inconsistency. Look at Spurs, look at City, look at Man United. Like, so many teams have been inconsistent. And to be honest, like, the only teams that have been reasonably consistent this season are Liverpool and Chelsea so far. And they're in the position that they are because of that consistency. They've just been more consistent than the others, essentially. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to predict a score. I mainly did this because I had a lot of thoughts that I wanted to get off my chest. So I've probably talked longer than the preview, than the EAFC sim. So I'm not going to say enjoy the rest of the sim because you've probably not seen any of it. Yeah, let's see what happens. I'm going to leave it there, and I will be back again after the game on Wednesday. I've got my work Christmas party on Tuesday, so hopefully I'm not absolutely battered and can't do the preview, but it should be fine. Should be fine. I should be over. If I am hungover, I should be over it by then. Right. I'm so deflated. Anyway, hope you can enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you on Wednesday. Take care and stay safe.